Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. Firstly, I just want to apologise a little bit. This video has taken a little while to get onto my channel. As always, I've been dealing with stuff. My little boy Aaron starts his new school this year and I'm trying to organise him transport, and I'm having to deal with all the red tape and the bureaucracy that comes with that. But I am here. And so, this is the second video in the Tinnitus Your Path to Recovery series that I'm putting out. And in the first video I covered how being struck with tinnitus can make you feel, and the thought process that most of us will have gone through, the panic, the fear, anger, all the negative emotions that the majority of us experience when we're first struck with tinnitus, and how to deal with this and process these thoughts, remaining calm, accepting that tinnitus is with us, but more importantly, believing and understanding that we can get better and you can find your path to recovery. So, in this second video, I'm going to address the next big questions that anyone that has been struck with tinnitus will be asking, and these are: what can help me? Who can help me? Where do I go to get help? I need help. I need to get better. Now, when you're first struck with tinnitus, you're more than likely going to find that the very first person you look to for help will be your local GP, your doctor. The GP is where most of us will immediately turn to. So I'm going to talk about my experience and opinion of GPs, if they are or can be of any help. The reason I want to talk about GPs first is because what many of us with tinnitus have found is that after visiting the GP, many of us actually come out of the clinic feeling worse and more depressed and hopeless, and anxious. And that's why I want to talk about GPs as a first port of call, to give some clarity on how a GP can help, but also how sometimes they are not the best as your first attempt. They're not the best as your first attempt at trying to find someone to help you. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of visiting your GP when you're struck with tinnitus. So firstly, let's go over the negative aspects and cover how and why GPs unfortunately aren't always the best first port of call. Sadly, it can actually be detrimental to anyone who's just been struck with tinnitus. And we'll talk about the positives after. Okay. So, when you visit a GP and tell them that you have ringing or noise in your head or your ears, the GP will have a good idea that this is tinnitus you're describing to him, and he will also know that he will not be able to prescribe you any medication or treatment within the mainstream medical world to cure your tinnitus. In fact, he will know that there is no proven medication that will lower your tinnitus. Okay. Now, with GPs, they have to operate within strict guidelines, mainly to protect themselves, and they can only prescribe approved medications. They can only give you what they would consider approved and proven medical advice. This unfortunately leads many doctors to simply go through the motions of looking into your ears, checking for earwax, etc., blockages, finding nothing, then move into asking you questions relating to, have you had any bangs to your head, or have you been exposed to loud noise recently? Again, upon finding nothing, nothing tangible that they can give you an educated opinion on, they will then often go ahead and diagnose you as having tinnitus, and then usually without much empathy or tact tell you, yes, you have tinnitus, we don't really know what causes it, it's a lifelong condition, there is no cure. It may get better by itself, we really don't know, but I'm sorry, you just have to live with it. This is usually followed by your GP referring you to the hospital for ear and audio testing, and then really it's just a matter of goodbye, thank you. So they may also offer you antidepressants, but we'll cover that later. But that's usually the experience, many of us, when we visit a GP. Now, if you have just been struck with tinnitus, especially if it's very loud, say a level 5 or above, you're already going to be in a state of anxiety, shock and fear when you enter the clinic. And then to have a GP tell you, I don't know why you have tinnitus, I don't know what caused it, there's no cure, live with it. That is the reason, okay, that many of us leave the clinic feeling completely hopeless and more depressed than when we went in, because we've basically been told by a professional medical doctor that we're going to be tortured by this noise in our head for the rest of our lives. If you're watching this video and you've recently been struck with tinnitus and you've yet to make an appointment with your GP, or if you've already had your first appointment with them, and this was indeed your experience, then please do not think or believe that this is true, okay? Because you do not have to live with this sound impacting on your life for the rest of your days. It is not true. I've said many times now in videos and conversations with clients that doctors need to have a rethink in how they approach the subject of tinnitus when speaking to patients during a first appointment or consultation. Now, while it is true that there is no mainstream medical medication that a doctor can prescribe you, to tell somebody, even if that's true, which it is, okay, to then go ahead and tell someone you just have to live with it for the rest of your life is not helpful in any way, but more importantly, it is not true. Okay, so I just want to get that across. It would be far better, in my opinion, for GPs to take the approach of, I can't prescribe anything that will cure you, however, there are methods and people that understand this condition and can help you to reduce your tinnitus. Unfortunately, a GP more than likely isn't going to offer you any actual names, such as Julian or myself, for example, as they have to operate within proven and approved people in the medical field, practitioners and clinics, okay? So, as I say, many people who have just been struck with tinnitus will immediately be looking to their local GP for help and hope, and this sadly can prove to be a negative and depressing experience. So if you've been told this or similar by your doctor, don't believe it. You can get better. At the very least, you will be able to reduce your tinnitus to a level where it no longer impacts on your life. Right? So that's the negative side of when you visit your local GP as a first port of call for help. So let's move on to the positive of how it is possible that a GP can be of help to you. If you're lucky enough to have a doctor who has some knowledge of tinnitus, then they may well be able to offer you some advice that may be helpful, and also, if warranted, medication can come into play as an immediate relief, not cure, relief. Now, all of what I'm going to talk about now are what I consider short-term reliefs and are not long-term methods to be used indefinitely, okay? If you're unfortunately in a high state of stress and anxiety, as many of us will be, the GP may well offer to prescribe you an antidepressant or another form of medication to bring your stress levels and anxiety down. Now, tinnitus feeds off of stress and anxiety, and in this way, antidepressants or a medication that calms you down may be advisable for a short period of time, until you then find the methods and people that will help you get your mindset to a place where you can calm your feelings down and start to feel more hopeful and positive in regards to the aspect of recovering, okay, and getting better. So if you don't feel you're able to cope, and you are, as I was, having dark thoughts, feeling hopeless, and you're at the edge of the cliff, that's where I was, then antidepressants or a calming medication can be helpful. However, helpful in the short term, as medications are not going to be your long-term method or answer to getting better. Also, when we're struck with tinnitus, the majority of us will find bedtime to be traumatic. Trying to go to sleep with this noise in our head can be near on impossible for some of us. Even when you have some form of masker or shrouding sound noise being played in the bedroom, sleep can be a huge issue. Some of us will unfortunately find ourselves so sleep deprived due to the noise in our head, it's just not possible to function properly. And if you find yourself at a point where you literally cannot get to sleep and just cannot stand the thought of another sleepless night, a GP can offer you some form of medication to help you at least get some relief, sleep, and escape for a while. Again, this is a short-term answer, and really this would be to allow you some immediate relief and to allow you to be able to regain some strength of mind and body, so you can then at least function as you're no longer mentally exhausted from lack of sleep. Okay. I took medications for a short period of time, just to help me get to sleep, because I was so sleep deprived I just couldn't even function, let alone start to try and get better. Okay. So your GP also will no doubt make a referral for you to see an audiologist and an ENT. This will really only be to eliminate and dismiss other possible causes or reasons for your tinnitus, okay, such as physical trauma, illness, blockages to the ear, etc., etc. He'll also probably refer you to have an MRI scan, again, just to eliminate possible causes or reasons as to why you have tinnitus. But what I will say is, they 99% of the time, they won't find anything. Okay, I've had multiple MRI scans, they never find anything. But just to get it checked out anyway. Still on the subject of sleep, a GP can also, or should also, offer you, to refer you to, this is in the UK, to your local tinnitus or hearing department at your local hospital, where they should at least be able to offer you masking or shrouding devices that will be helpful to some people. Okay, personally, I'm not a great fan of maskers or shrouding devices. I've made several videos about them, covering these and my thoughts on them. However, again, if you just cannot stand to hear the sound of the tinnitus anymore, then as an immediate short-term relief, a masker may be of help to you. Alright. Got the school next door to me. I don't know if you can hear the children playing out there. So a masker may be of help to some of you. So to sum up, your GP being the first person you reach out to in your immediate cry for help, your doctor will be able to refer you to your hospital to eliminate possible causes and to ascertain if you do have hair cell damage, for instance, via audio testing, etc. However, they will not be able to offer you anything that will cure your tinnitus. However, they should be able to offer you, if needed, some medication to calm you down and help you sleep, and also masking devices, just so you can at least gather yourself, regain some strength, and in that you will be able to then, once you're feeling at least you're not exhausted from lack of sleep, because lack of sleep and sleep deprivation will you just won't be able to function at all. So you need to be able to sleep, and if it takes some form of medication initially to get you to sleep, okay, just so you can gather yourself, regain your strength a bit, then medication, your GP will be able to help you with that in the short term. And in that, you will then be able to move forward in finding the methods and people that will be able to truly help you long term find your path to recovery. Okay? Your first port of call for help will usually be your GP. All GPs will have their own demeanour and character. Hopefully, you will have one that is sympathetic and has some empathy. I just want to again emphasise, should your GP tell you that tinnitus is a lifelong condition, you just have to live with it, this is not the case. Okay, he is wrong. So do not lose hope at this point. If you're lucky enough to have a doctor who is sympathetic and has some knowledge of tinnitus, he should, if needed, be able to offer you these short-term reliefs. Alright? He should also be able to refer you to a tinnitus clinic that would or should be at least able to give you some alternative methods of help. The pros and cons of visiting your GP as a first cry for help. Alright? So, after you visited your GP, okay, and you visited your GP for the mainstream medical world's opinion on what they can or can't and do or don't offer you as help, what, who and where do you turn to next in finding your path to recovery? And that's what I will be talking about in the third video in this series. Okay, where you go to next after you've been to the mainstream medical world, your GP, etc., etc., audiologists, ENT. Where do you turn to next? Okay. Just to end with, a couple of you have asked me about cranial sacral therapy. When am I going to be offering this? When I have completed my training, myself and Amanda are training to be cranial sacral therapists, I will keep you all up to date. And of course I will be offering this. Okay. I will keep you up to date on it and let you know, because some of you clients and just subscribers have asked if I will be offering this in a professional fashion, and I will be, okay, but I will keep you up to date. So best wishes to you all. I will see you all again soon, and bye bye.